The newest 7-star Tera raid is a big surprise. Normal Tera Eevee. We think that Game Freak has a trick or two up their sleeve for this raid. Welcome back to another Dan Squared video, you Danimals. It is not Tera Dark or Tera Water Hisuian Samurott as we all anticipated after Decidueye Typhlosion. It's normal Tera Eevee. At first glance, it looks like it's going to be our easiest Tera raid yet, but as some reasons we're going to get into later in this video, it might be somewhat difficult. We are most looking forward to getting an Eeveelution with the Mightiest Mark. Moondan's going with his favorite Umbreon. I'm going to be going with Sylveon so I can make a money-making Sylveon the Unrivaled. What Eeveelution are you going to evolve your Eevee the Unrivaled into? The best event going on in Scarlet and Violet this week in our opinion are the Mass Outbreaks of Eevee. Eevee is a pain in the neck to shiny hunt in Scarlet and Violet. You have to reset for a while to get a Mass Outbreak of Eevee. So this weekend is the time to flesh out your squad of shiny Eeveelutions. But let's get back on track. Before we can talk about what Pokemon to use to beat Eevee, we need to talk a little bit about Eevee itself. Our Eevee raid preview is brought to you by our Soul Link Nuzlocke of Pokemon Emerald. Don't miss out on the action. I would like to preface all this Eevee slander with the fact that I love it. I think it's a great Pokemon. It's not fully evolved, but it has awful stats. It doesn't have much going for it. We can attack it with physical or special attackers. We prefer physical attackers because its defense is lower than its special defense. It is technically a more capable physical attacker, but it doesn't pose much of a threat in general. All 7-star Tera raid Pokemon so far have had their hidden ability, so we expect the same for Eevee. Eevee's hidden ability, Anticipation, does not help it in Tera raids. It just lets it know that, hey, a super effective move is coming and it's gonna hurt. So Eevee will be starting every Tera raid saying, haha, I'm in danger. Eevee is Tera type normal, so for its normal stab, we think it's going to have 1 or 2 out of 3 of the following moves: Double Edge, Body Slam, and Last Resort. Double Edge hits for solid damage with some recoil. Body Slam could be a nuisance because of the chance to paralyze. And Last Resort is Eevee's strongest stab, but it must use all of its other moves first before using Last Resort. Its most useful coverage moves would be Shadow Ball to discourage people from LOL just using Annihilate, and Stored Power. Stored Power paired with Calm Mind is a really common strategy that trainers have used to take down 7-star Tera raids since the Greninja raids. Stored Power only has a base power of 20, but that base power is raised by an additional 20 for every stage the user's stats are raised. After using Calm Mind 6 times, Stored Power has a base power of 260. Eevee does get a host of really useful support moves. It could go the physical attacking route and use Curse to raise its attack and defense. It could also check most physical attackers by spamming Charm to sharply lower our Pokemon's attack. It could also go the accuracy lowering route and use a move like Mud Slap. Lastly, we would not be surprised to see Eevee borrow a trick from many 6-star Tera raids and spam Yawn against us to put our Pokemon to sleep. So now that we know what we're up against, let's see how we're going to take down 7-star Eevee. We picked 1 physical attacking counter, 1 special attacking counter, and 1 body press counter. If you don't like those 3 builds, we threw in the honorable mention, LOL just use Annihilate. If Eevee does end up using a stat lowering move like Charm in this raid, Defiance Annihilate is going to absolutely feast. It'll probably feast anyway, so we wanted to include it, and also for the memes. Let's take a closer look at these first 3 builds. Here's our Iron Hands build for taking down 7-star Eevee. You are likely already very familiar with this build, or you have it built. It has max attack Eevees, max HP Eevees, and the final 4 into defense. It has an Adamant nature to further increase its attack stat, giving it a whopping attack of 416. It's a future Paradox Pokemon, so it has the ability Quark Drive, which raises its highest stats during electric terrain or while holding a booster energy. Drain Punch is its build's only attacking move. It hits for massive super effective fighting type damage while restoring HP. Belly Drum powers up Drain Punch. Electric Terrain activates that Quark Drive ability, further raising our attack. We can use Focus Energy 1 time to raise our critical hit chances while we're on the field. This build uses the Metronome held item for extra damage while swinging with Drain Punch. Metronome increases the power of a move used consecutively by 20% each time, capping at a 100% increase. To maximize your damage output with this build, start with Focus Energy to increase your critical hit chances. Next, use Electric Terrain to activate the Quark Drive ability to further raise your attack. Then use Belly Drum and start swinging with Drain Punch until you get the win. Here's our Lucario build for taking on 7-star Eevee. Our build has max special attack Eevees, max HP Eevees, and the final 4 into defense. Lucario's ability is not important for this raid. Aura Sphere is the build's only attacking move. It hits for strong super effective fighting damage and it never misses. Nasty Plot powers up Aura Sphere. Metal Sound does soften up Eevee for Aura Sphere if, and only if, Eevee does not start the Tera raid with its shield up, but we think that it will. If Eevee does start with its shield up, you could replace Metal Sound with Iron Defense to give Lucario additional bulk. Our build uses Life Tube to provide some recovery for Lucario and its allies. This build uses the Shell Bell held item for some recovery. If Eevee doesn't have its shield up, start off with 3 Metal Sounds. Then use Nasty Plot 3 times. Then start swinging with Aura Sphere. Mix in a Life Dew as needed for some healing. We saved our best build for last. Here is our Corviknight build for taking down 7-star Eevee. Our build has max HP Eevees, max defense Eevees, and the final 4 into special defense. It has a bold nature to lower its attack while raising its defense because we won't be using the attack or special attack stat to deal damage. An Impish nature is just as good for your Corviknight, that lowers a special attack while also raising defense. The Mirror Armor ability could be really useful in this raid. If Eevee does end up spamming Charm or Mud Slap, Mirror Armor will reflect the drops in accuracy or attack right back at Eevee. Body Press is this build's only attacking move. Body Press builds are some of the best against any 7-star Tera raid that's weak to Fighting type. And as we saw with Fire Tera, Hisuian, Typhlosion, Body Press can dominate Tera raids. It doesn't even hit for super effective damage. Iron Defense increases our physical bulk and powers up Body Press. Roost gives us an additional recovery option. If Eevee does not start the Tera raid with its shield up, we can use Screech to lower its defense and hit even harder with Body Press. Our Huge Bird is Tera Fighting Tit for Terrastalize super effective damage with Body Press. Go to this spot on the map and catch this Tera Fighting Corviknight so you can make this build without spending any Tera Shards. This build also uses the Shell Bell held item for some recovery. Here's how to use this build. Use Iron Defense 3 times. If Eevee's shield isn't up, use Screech 3 times. Start swinging with Body Press. Mix in a Roost if you need some extra recovery. Let us know in the comments if you try any of these builds out or what you are building to take down Eevee. If you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping a like, leaving a comment, or using Body Press on that subscribe button for more Dan Squared. Thanks for watching and happy Eevee season.